All right, today we're doing an explainer on Circle's latest earnings presentation. And this is a big one, because we're talking about a company that's making a massive, multi-billion-dollar bet on totally rewriting the rules for how money works.
So let's just jump right in. Right at the top of their presentation, Circle drops this huge statement. I mean, it sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, right? But this is it. This is the core belief that's driving their entire company. They're asking the question, what happens when money finally, truly lives on the internet? And Circle sees themselves as right in the middle of this collision. Now, their goal isn't just to build another cool app or, a new online bank. No, they're thinking much bigger. They're trying to build the actual plumbing, the pipes, the protocols, the fundamental stuff that this whole new financial internet is going to run on.
Okay, so first section. How do you even begin to build a new financial system on the internet? Well, you need an engine, right? You need some kind of fuel to power the whole thing. And for Circle, that engine is what they call a digital dollar.
Now, the techie term for this is a stablecoin, but the idea behind it is actually super simple. The best way to think about it is like a casino chip, but for the internet. You give them one real US dollar, they give you one digital token. And the whole promise, the big idea, is that you can always trade that token back in for your real dollar. It's always one for one.
So you might be asking, okay, why do we even need this? And this slide really breaks it down. Think about our current financial system. It's kind of old, right? It runs on wires and systems built decades ago. It's slow. It shuts down on weekends and holidays. It gets complicated when you cross borders. Circle's big product, USDC, is meant to be the exact opposite. It's instant. It works anywhere in the world, 24/7. And, this is really cool, it's programmable. You can actually build rules right into the money itself.
Okay, but the big question is always trust, right? Especially in the crypto world where things can be so volatile. How do you know that digital dollar is actually worth a dollar? Well, this is Circle's answer. It's built on three main pillars. First, every single USDC is backed one-to-one by actual cash or really safe short-term US government bonds. Second, they publish public audit reports so you can see the proof yourself. And third, they operate as a regulated company. The whole play here is to be the stable, transparent, trustworthy option.
All right, it's a great idea in theory, but is anyone actually using this stuff? Is it working? Well, let's get into the numbers, because honestly, they're pretty staggering. First up, let's talk revenue. We're looking at $740 million. That's a 66% jump year over year. So yeah, this is not some small experiment. This is a massive business that is growing really, really fast.
And then look at this number. The sheer scale of activity is just wild. $9.6 trillion. That's how much value moved using USDC on-chain in the last year. That's a nearly seven-fold increase. I mean, that's just an incredible amount of volume running through these new pipes.
And it's not just a few big players either. We're talking over 6.3 million different digital wallets holding USDC. That's up 77% in just 1 year. That tells you that adoption is getting broader and spreading out. Now, these two charts together tell a really interesting story. On the left, you see the total supply of USDC growing, which is great. It's a nice steady line up. But look at the chart on the right. This is the key. The actual transaction volume, how much it's being used, is growing exponentially. It's growing way, way faster. And that suggests people aren't just buying the stuff and sitting on it, they're actively using it as a tool to send and receive value.
Okay, let's be real here. Circle isn't the only game in town. There's a big rival, USDT, that's still the #1 player by a long shot. They had a huge head start in the early kind of Wild West days of crypto, but USDC is the clear, powerful #2 with about $74 billion out there, and their whole strategy seems to be different. They're not just trying to be another crypto token. They're trying to be the regulated, transparent digital dollar that can win over big traditional finance.
So the numbers are huge, we've established that. But a lot of that action, historically, has been inside the crypto world, for trading. The real question, the next big test for Circle, is can this thing break out? Can it become useful in the real world for everyday stuff? Well, according to them, that's already starting to happen.
And this is basically their game plan for doing it. It's a three-part strategy to kind of infiltrate traditional finance. First, payments. They're teaming up with giants like Visa to get USDC into global payment networks. Second, they're not abandoning their roots. They're strengthening their position with big crypto exchanges like Kraken. And third, and this might be the most important one for the long run, they're partnering directly with big traditional banks, like Itaú in Brazil, to get digital dollars into the hands of regular people.
Okay, that's all pretty impressive stuff, but Circle's ambition actually goes way beyond just being a digital dollar. They're thinking much, much bigger. So let's talk about what's next, and also what the big risks are. So their next big thing is something called the ARC network. And listen to how they describe it: an economic operating system for the internet. I mean, that's a huge claim. Basically, it's a whole new foundational layer of software they're building, with a target launch in 2026, that's supposed to power a whole new wave of financial apps online.
It's a massive, world-changing vision, for sure. So what's the catch? What could go wrong?
Well, if you dig into the fine print of their own presentation, they actually tell you. There's intense competition, for one. Then there's this really unique risk of a digital bank run. What happens if everyone loses confidence at once and tries to cash out? That could be bad. Then you have the global regulatory maze, which is constantly changing. And of course, the big one, the ever-present threat of a major cybersecurity hack or some kind of tech failure.
So when you boil it all down, the story of Circle really isn't about just another crypto coin or a new fintech app. It's about trying to build that fundamental infrastructure, that plumbing we talked about, for a new kind of internet. An internet where money can move just as easily and instantly as an email or a photo does today.
And that really brings us full circle, right back to where we started. That big collision between the old financial system and the new internet. And the takeaway here is that this is not going to be simple, it's not going to be clean, and really, it's just getting started. So that leaves us with the big, multi-trillion-dollar question. Is Circle going to pull this off? Are they going to build a new foundational protocol for money on the internet? Something as basic and essential as the web itself? Or are they just going to be another really ambitious company that ends up as a casualty in the long, brutal history of tech wars?